what if Jaclyn Hill never collabed with Becca? What if Morphe was never a thing? What if the modern renaissance never happened to ABH? What if Becca hadn't closed? What if the Naked palette never happened to Urban Decay? What if the lipsticks were never hairy with Jaclyn? What if Dramageddon 2 never happened? What if Tati Beauty didn't close? What if you never started the Will I Buy It series? What if COVID hadn't happened? How would the beauty community and makeup look right now? Welcome back, everyone. Today's video is going to be what could be a spicy get ready with me. I think this could be a fun video, or I could be setting myself up for failure. I'm not really sure which one, but we are going to be getting ready together while we talk over some what ifs in the beauty community and the beauty space. Essentially, where this video idea came from was I saw a sports podcast do this like what if video. What if this player got drafted to a different team? What if this catch never happened? What if this play never happened, etc. And as I'm listening to it, I'm immediately like, how can I relate that to the beauty industry, the beauty community, the beauty space? What if this brand was never launched? What if this scandal never happened? What if this influencer never started making videos? You know, for me, I always say that I was really inspired to start creating my own beauty YouTube videos because of Carly Bible. Like, what if Carly Bible never started uploading videos? Would I have started uploading videos? What would my life look like? So I went to my YouTube members. So I have memberships here on YouTube. I do member exclusive videos every month, live chats, and we also have a group chat on Instagram where everyone can kind of stay in touch with each other. And I also put in there like dates of live chats and videos, but I also go to them when I have video ideas like this and I want to get some feedback for it. So I explained the concept to them and I said, what are some of your what ifs? And we are going to discuss those today. I'm going to be reacting to them. I'm going to be giving some of my like, maybe this could have happened if that had or hadn't happened, but I also, of course, really want to hear your comments. Using some of like new makeup that I picked up recently from Sephora. I have a Sephora Get Ready With Me that I've done as well, and I will link everything in the description box and also the YouTube shopping button. So I will get you zoomed in a little bit here. Hopefully you can't hear too much background noise. I'm filming from my friend's place and they have some landscaping yard work happening outside, but I'm just filming in her closet. But I'm again just going to use the Hourglass. I already have my SPF on. I use the Cosmetics Hello Sunshine, and I'm going to be using the Hourglass like soft, was it Hourglass Ambient Soft Focus Foundation in the shade 8. I used this in my last Get Ready With Me. I said that when I shopped at the Sephora sale, I was in LA on a trip and I forgot all my foundations, so that's why it's coming in this little thing because I just got a little sample size. I'm also going to be using the BK Beauty 101 brush, and they just gave me, they upped my code from 10% off to 30% off for BK Beauty, so very excited about that. So the code Samantha 30, if you check out here on YouTube, will get you a 30% off. So when I link the products in the little button here, you should see something next to it saying that the products are now 30% off. But this was my first time trying the Hourglass foundation, and I've used it a couple more times and I've really liked it. Okay, so I thought this was so funny because this was something I definitely thought of as well, and it was the first question that came in the Instagram group chat. And this is from Teresa. She said, I like this idea. I don't know why, but the first thing that popped into my head is, what if Jaclyn Hill never collabed with Becca? Would influencer collabs be where they are now? I thought this was such a good question because it was definitely something I thought of too. For me, there was for sure a handful of brands, creators, products, and like times in general that popped into my head right away. But for sure, the Jaclyn Hill and Becca Cosmetics collab, because it really was one of the first of its kind that we were seeing in the industry that really blew up, at least in my opinion, and I think for a lot of you as well, because a lot of people were commenting on that too. To me, I think it's also going to be really interesting to get feedback in the comments, because I can look at some of these what ifs and I can talk about it from a viewer point of view, because I used to be a YouTube viewer before I was a creator, but then also from a creator point of view, and then also from a brand owner point of view. I do own a small business. It's not makeup related, but I do own a business, and I do have a lot of friends who do own beauty related businesses. So I can kind of see a little bit of, I've been able to dabble in all of them, right? So I kind of feel like I have a little bit different feedback that can vary for these. But one of the things that I think that really stood out to me from the Jaclyn and Becca collab, when I really think back on it, is I think that really showed brands the power of influencers at the time. I think it was something that really made the industry take note that this wasn't just a little thing that people were doing of creating videos on the internet and forming these, you know, kind of real and genuine connections with their audience. It was also proving to be a moneymaker. And to me, I feel like that really set off so many influencer collaborations and changed the life of a lot of people. I think Jaclyn Hill's life was definitely very changed by her collaboration with Becca and what she's been able to go on and the collabs that she's been able to do and the brands that she's been able to start and the opportunities that she's been able to have. And you see some of those early influencer brand collaborations that came out, you know, 8, 9, 10 years ago, and you see how they were able to change the lives. And for someone who I've done collaborations with makeup brands myself, I'll be able to say, even though you know, they've been nothing on the scale of a Jaclyn Hill or you know, some of those other like really big collaborations, that they definitely did change my life in a lot of ways. And I don't even necessarily mean in a monetary sense. I mean in a sense of feeling and I'm coming at it from my point of view, right? I'm not speaking for Jaclyn Hill here by any means or anyone by any means. This is what I'm speaking for myself, was my collaborations that I've done with Sigma Beauty, with Kulfi Cosmetics. They changed my life because they made me feel like I had a voice in this industry. And there's a lot of people, there's a lot of influencers, there's a lot of brands, there's a lot of consumers. And I guess for me, collaborations gave me almost a sense of confidence in that maybe I did know what I was doing. Maybe I was on the right track in life. Maybe people really did like me or respect me. I've been able to read a lot of books recently about influencers being the main characters. And it's been very fascinating to read kind of the point of view from them. And one thing that I hear a lot about is people who feeling kind of turning towards the internet because they didn't feel like they had a lot of friends, they didn't feel like they had a lot of connections, and they kind of had this drive of wanting people to like them. And I think that was something that I definitely have turned to the internet for. You know, I've said it that I got online in 2009 because I wanted to make friends. To me, I think collaborations really showed me that I felt like I had a place in this community where for a long time I felt that I didn't really fit in. And that's kind of always been my thing. Like I never really felt like I like fit in a lot of places, and being able to have those opportunities and see them go well, and seeing people liked my vision, they liked my shades, they liked the formulas that we worked on and all of those things, they liked the artwork, they liked the you know, packages that they came in. It almost made me feel like I fit in and that I was included and that I was accepted. And for me, it gave me a boost of confidence that I didn't feel like I had for a very long time. So I have always said how grateful I am to the online community because of giving me the confidence when it comes to watching my videos and engaging with them and commenting on them and sending me DMs, buying my products like what I have for my brands, for my books. I'm a published author of 9, for buying my collaborations. All of those have helped give me a confidence to ultimately be able to change my whole life. And it's something that I will definitely never forget. So when I think about collaborations and I think about those times, if Jaclyn hadn't done that collaboration with Becca and it hadn't made such a big splash in the industry, it makes me wonder. I think collabs would always be a thing, don't get me wrong. I don't know like when they would really start getting out there, if that makes sense. I don't know how much longer it would have took. I don't know who would have been the brand and the face of the collaboration. So I'm definitely curious to get your thoughts on that one. That was one when I saw that come in as the very first thing in the group chat, I was like, my mind immediately went there as well, because to me that changed the game in so many ways for influencer and brand relationship. I feel like it's gonna be so hard for me to like be like doing my makeup because I'm so invested in these questions. But we had something about Morphe, and I thought this was so interesting. What if Morphe was never a thing? That would have really changed the discount codes and the affiliate game. And right under that was from Kristen, right under that, Megan commented and said, what if Morphe never did affiliate codes? Kristen said jinx, Megan said LOL, great minds. Hysterical, because I'm not gonna lie to you, as I was thinking about this video, first of all, I did not think of Morphe, and I was like, whoa, because to me, Morphe changed the game for, yes, affiliate codes. For all of a sudden online, you kept hearing, you know, use my code for this, use my code for that, which was something that we hadn't been hearing yet at the time. And that made a huge change. And that to me catapulted Morphe's success. And watching this brand kind of come out of nowhere and just completely take over with their business model was fascinating for me to watch as a viewer, as a consumer, also as a content creator at the time. I was like, this is changing. This is changing. We're able to see the successes of people like Jaclyn Hill, like Laura Lee, like some of those early Morphe affiliates who got into the program. The amount of money that they were making on affiliate codes was absolutely bananas because it was a new thing. People were now being able to buy makeup from their favorite influencers who they were watching every single day. I speak for me myself. I've said in videos before that I literally used to make a list of all of my favorite content creators because at one point it was like 10 of them. And I would come down into my office, and before I would start working, I worked from home for a hospital, I would look at my list and I would see, did Carly Bible post a video? I would watch it. Did Jaclyn Hill post a video? I would watch it. Did Casey Holmes post a video? I would watch it. Kathleen Lights? I would watch it. And I would go through my list and I would watch everyone's videos for the day and be like, oh, okay, now I can start my work day. And I would sit there and I would make lists of what they were recommending. When Jaclyn Hill did her favorite Makeup Geek shadows, I literally sat there with a piece of paper and a pen and I wrote down all of her favorite shadows and which ones I thought that I should get, and then I purchased them. And so now we're having a brand say, hey, now you're having an influencer say, this brand is one of my favorites. These are my favorite products. And guess what? You can have them all and for cheaper. All you have to do is use this code. Changed the game, in my opinion. Changed the game for affiliate codes. And again, not saying that affiliate codes would never be a thing or weren't a thing at that time. I'm not trying to say that Morphe was the first brand ever to come out with affiliate codes or to run an affiliate program, not at all. But I think the way that they went about it and the influencers that they tapped for their initial program was wildly successful. Products were selling out left and right. You were just constantly being reminded of use this code. And I speak for me, I was using the codes, I was buying the products, and as someone who was a very new influencer, when I started to realize how much money and how these influencers' lives were changing because of it, I was like, I want to be on the program too. Like, I want to get PR, I want to have an affiliate code. And then you saw other brands really tapping into that as well and starting to offer these affiliate programs, these discount codes. And to me, it's so interesting to look back on, sometimes I'm hesitant to say like the rise and the fall of Morphe, but I do think the rise of Morphe had to do with how well they presented themselves on social media and the influencers that they got, the discount codes that really started to make a splash. And I mean, you could not turn on a video without seeing Morphe mentioned, without the Morphe brushes being mentioned. Then we had the Morphe palettes, then we had the collaborations that were happening between Morphe and the influencers. It was a game changer. But what do you think? This one is from Janelle. What if the modern renaissance never happened to ABH? That was kind of the last innovative product. I seriously think they'd be out of business. That is so fascinating to think about, because the modern renaissance, to me, that is how I really got to know the brand Anastasia Beverly Hills, because all of a sudden one day everybody was talking about the modern renaissance. Everyone was so in love with this eyeshadow palette. Again, you couldn't go online without seeing someone use the modern renaissance or talk about the modern renaissance. And it really made such a splash in the industry. And Anastasia was already a well-known brand, don't get me wrong. They were very well known for their eyeshadow, for their eyebrows and their eyebrow products. But to me, I feel as a little bit as they were kind of boxed into the brow category. When you thought of Anastasia, you instantly thought of brows, which makes sense. Anastasia was the brow queen, right? The brow shaping queen, the brow product queen, everything. But I do feel like they were a little bit boxed in at that time when they came out with the modern renaissance, and it was the right time to come out with that kind of palette. You know, this neutral palette, a very pretty palette, a very easy formula to work with. I mean, people well and truly lost their minds over this eyeshadow palette. I remember I was a very new content creator at the time, but all I could keep thinking was, oh my gosh, I need to have this eyeshadow palette. It was selling out in stores. You couldn't find it. It was selling out online. And it was just a monster hit. And it's so interesting to hear, you know, Janelle say, like, I think that they would be out of business. And it's not a stretch to think that, because like I said, they were kind of boxed into that brow category. How long can you really keep coming out with products and having successes just around brow products, especially at the time that the beauty industry was really changing and going more towards social media and going more towards needing content every single day, needing to post every single day, needing these new launches to stay relevant. You know, I think about some of the kind of pillar brands that we've had in the beauty community that would put 4 commercials together a year around their 2 makeup launches, and that would be it. Social media 100% flipped the beauty community, the beauty industry on the head, as with so many other industries. I mean, technology as a whole has done it, social media has done it, but that's so interesting to think about if Anastasia had not released the Modern Renaissance palette, because then my mind goes to, what if subculture never happened? What if we never had Subculture Gate? What if we never had all the drama around subculture? Because to me, subculture kind of put this initial like questioning over influencers, brands too. But to me, I feel as though subculture really put the question mark on influencers, and are they lying to you? Do they have integrity? If you said that you liked the subculture, were you lying because you just wanted to sell products and you wanted to get views? If you said that you hated it, was it just because you wanted views? Like if you were making videos with the palette with like throwing up emojis, was it just for views, or did you really think the palette was not that bad? To me, I feel like subculture was kind of that first question mark on are influencers being truthful in their videos, and that spawned a whole reckoning. That spawned, to me, that's what really kind of started. And again, maybe I'm wrong, but this is just my viewpoint of what I'm remembering, so maybe you remember differently, but to me, that's what kind of started drama channels. That's what kind of started this investigative reports of like, how truthful are influencers being, and let's talk about them in these videos. So to me, I'm like, if subculture hadn't happened, again, I'm sure drama channels were going to come out eventually as the times were changing, but I feel like that's kind of where they came from. I don't know. What do you think? I'm going to keep saying, what do you think? Don't play a drinking game of every time I say, what do you think in this video? Because it's going to be a long day. Janelle also said, what if Becca hadn't closed? And I definitely thought of this as well, because I thought of Becca, I thought of Jaclyn Hill, and I definitely thought of what if Becca Cosmetics didn't close. Becca Cosmetics closing to me was it sent such a shockwave through the industry, I feel like. Again, these are just all my opinion. I'm not speaking for anybody here. So I wanted to get the date right. So Becca Cosmetics ceased operations in September of 2021. Beauty brand cited an accumulation of challenges together with the global impact of COVID-19 as the reason for its closure. Estee Lauder, which acquired Becca in 2016, made the final decision to shut down the brand. And then it's so interesting as I'm reading this, because it says Becca Cosmetics was founded in 2001 by Rebecca Morris Williams. The brand became a cult favorite after collaborating with beauty YouTuber Jaclyn Hill on its Champagne Pop highlighter in 2015. Again, Becca closing, I know there was questions about COVID in the chat as well and how it affected the industry, but to me that was kind of the first big shockwave from the pandemic, and that we were really able to see how hard businesses were hit by a global pandemic, which after that we started to see other businesses shut down as well. We're still seeing businesses shut down. There is still, obviously we're in an economic crisis and all of the things. But to me, Becca was that first when I saw, I can remember where I was. Isn't that so funny? I can remember where I was when I saw that Becca Cosmetics was closing, and like the mouth drop that I did because of how popular that brand was because of the collaboration with Jaclyn Hill. I use the nude Westman Atelier brush. Again, if I'm just speaking and not saying about the products, because again, I use like the BK Beauty, the A506 concealer brush, I use like a Sigma bronzer brush. If I'm not saying them because I'm getting like so invested in this conversation, I will have everything in the description box. But this is the Mimi Westman Atelier, which is just like the nude shade. Again, to me, this kind of goes back to brands that became popular by utilizing social media, and is that really sustainable? And sometimes I think about beauty brands that utilize social media, and I think about beauty brands that are, again, kind of those pillar brands. And it's interesting to see, because sometimes you see brands like Becca, you see brands like Morphe especially, that really honed in on social media, on beauty influencers, and really took advantage of that to build their brand up and to, you know, kind of popularize their brand. But does that really have a sustainable effect on them? And to me, seeing Becca close in 2021 and going through those hard times, I was like, wow, like not even Champagne Pop, not even the collaborations with Jaclyn, not even these other bestsellers that they've had, because they did Champagne Pop, then they did the Champagne Pop palette. I mean, we had so many different factors of that coming out. We had, you know, special edition holiday products coming out as well. I was like, wow, if they couldn't, you know, survive that, what brand is going to be next? Like, I remember thinking, like, what brand is going to be next? Because it kind of felt like no one is safe. If Becca's closing, no brand is safe. And it was such an uneasy time and an uneasy feeling. But to me, I kind of wonder of like, what if Becca hadn't closed? What products would they be coming out with? Would they still be doing collaborations with influencers? Like, I don't know, but I just know for me that I think back to the time of hearing when Becca closed and being so shocked and thinking this is really, this is going to be impacting so many brands. What brand is next? What products are next? And I think just still an overall shock of what we went through as a world, what we went through and how long the impacts from that were going to be seen and felt. Another one from Janelle: what if the Naked palette never happened to Urban Decay? These questions are so good, you guys. That was the end of their grunge era and the start of their more safe branding. Would they have kept the grunge alternative theme? I think that's so fascinating to think about. And I'm beyond curious to get some thoughts about this one, because I will say that is kind of how I got to know Urban Decay, was because of the Naked palette. This was like probably before I was on social media, but it seemed like every time I would go to a friend's house, they would have the Naked palette. I'm using the Selena's Essential Eye Duo. I love this little set that I got from the Sephora sale. It comes with a shadow stick, which I think will match my sweater really nice, and then also the mini mascara, which I love. So I'm a big fan of this set. So this is one that I'm really curious to get a lot of your comments on, because it's so interesting for me to look back at Urban Decay as a brand, because again, I'm getting to know them through their Naked palettes, and then the Naked 2, and then the Naked 3. And I was like, this is a very, going back to the word safe, this is a very safe brand. This is a brand that really focuses on their neutral palettes and that sort of thing. But it wasn't always that way. And every once in a while, Urban Decay kind of dabbles into something else. And then I feel like people get shocked and they're like, oh, this isn't the same brand that does the Naked palette. But there's more to Urban Decay as a brand than that. So I'm curious to know when and if, I feel like maybe it's like a when, did you start hearing about Urban Decay or trying out some of their products? Was it one of the Naked palettes? Was it after that time? Was it before that time? What do you kind of, I guess the question that I want to ask to you is, what do you think of branding wise when you think of Urban Decay? Because to me, I still always go back to like that safe brand that comes out with these pretty neutral palettes. But I think that could definitely vary for people. This question from Allison: what if short form makeup content never happened? I saw this comment come through and my brain exploded. I think literally like one of the next things that I wrote in the chat was, this is so good, OMG, my brain, like the brain popping off emoji. I was like, again, I thought of a few questions that I could answer, but then I was like, I should ask my members, like I should ask what they think. I'm also realizing I didn't powder, so I should probably do that. I was just so fascinated by your questions. Honestly, I don't know how many I'm going to be able to get through in this video. We could definitely do a part 2. I think that would be super interesting as well, because I feel like even more are going to come in, like in the comment section and everything. But what if short form makeup content, like, I honestly, I don't even know if my brain can comprehend it, because as someone who did long form for such a long time, I know for me, I've been able to see the impact that short form has had on my career for sure. I can talk to you about the pressures of doing short form content, of doing YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, obviously TikToks. But also to me, it's so interesting because you can see the impact that short form content had on it. And then you go back to COVID-19 and you saw a lot of people that were out of work and thought, I'll turn to the internet because I'm bored, or I don't have anything else to do, or maybe this can turn into something and I can make money from it. How many people's lives changed because of short form content is staggering. There are so many people that I talk to that for example, I went to an Amazon influencer like conference event in 2022. I'm pretty sure it was 2022. And there was a handful of girls there who had hundreds and thousands, if not millions, of subscribers on TikTok especially. They were making thousands and thousands of dollars every day, every week, every month on Amazon. And I'm looking at them like, I've been doing this for years and I'm nowhere near you, because I said, when did you start doing this? And they would say, during COVID, or I just started last year. And I'm like, I've been doing this for so long, and I feel like I've worked so hard to create a community and build my integrity and trust and all of these things. And you guys have been doing it for a year or two, and you are just, you have completely changed your life so fast. Like, how did you do this? And what makes it interesting too is I moved to Las Vegas in 2021, and I started to meet Las Vegas content creators, either about Vegas, about food, about events here, fashion, whatever it may be. Almost everyone that I've met here in Vegas that does content creation, either on a part-time or a full-time basis, started around 2020. And so many of them are leaps and bounds ahead of me, to the point where I've started to wonder, did I start at the wrong time? I started too late to be in the likes of Jaclyn Hill, Casey Holmes, Kathleen Lights, Desi Perkins, Katie, all of them who were able to get these really cool first opportunities and really catapult them into success. And then I've also started too soon than these new creators who are starting, that are able to jump on these opportunities so fast and don't feel this kind of pressure to be boxed in. Jessica Braun just posted a video on this on Instagram that I thought was really interesting, where she talked about every time she feels like she tries to change her content, she's met with so much criticism and backlash because people expect her to talk about the two things that she's always talked about online. And she said, I've been doing this for 15 years and I feel like I can't change because I'm making my core audience upset. And I thought that was really fascinating. And I think that we have seen that short form really change the game in the influencer hemisphere for sure, and how people are putting out content and how people are becoming well-known and established online and getting these opportunities. And I know I talk to a lot of people who still continue to do long form primarily, and they feel very forgotten about, because now we've seen short form is not just for the younger generation. I know several people my age and older than me that do short form content as well, but it does definitely feel like we're just kind of like forgotten about. Like when I say I do YouTube, like people in Vegas are like, YouTube? You make like long form YouTube videos? Like they don't understand it. They make their 7-8 second videos on Instagram and they call it a day. They're doing wildly better. And it's such a fascinating thing for me to look at. And I try to look at it from a content creator standpoint, and I try to look at it from a viewer standpoint, because I definitely consume a lot of short form content. I'm on TikTok a lot. I like to get quick recipes. You know, I kind of traded in Pinterest for TikTok when it came to my recipes, because for me, I could read a recipe on Pinterest, but on TikTok, I could see people doing it. I could see what it's supposed to look like. I could see step by step and follow along step by step. So I traded in Pinterest for TikTok on that. I go to Instagram for like creative makeup looks or different ways to try something with like my blush. Like I'm getting ready to do like this candy cane blush after this, like different things like that. I go to Instagram Shorts for that. I will also say I do not consume as much long form YouTube content as I once did. And I think that goes along with like attention spans, and you know, we get to have that whole conversation. But short form content changed the game for beauty, for the new wave of influencers that were coming up, for brands. Again, I always say this, the YouTube audience does not like TikTok, and I get it. But brands have been able to utilize a program like TikTok Shop and do so well over there. It's been discussed recently that a beauty company discontinued their regular affiliate program because they are doing so much better on TikTok Shop and using that as their affiliate program, that they shut down their regular affiliate program that had a lot of long form YouTube content creators in that program, and they turned over to TikTok Shop. That is what is happening with short form content. And sometimes I just because I can see it from both ends, I sometimes feel like viewers don't quite understand the pressures that we feel as content creators to be everywhere and to be making all these different mediums of content. But then you see brands like this that take their affiliate program to TikTok Shop. Well, if you're not on TikTok Shop, you're not making that affiliate money anymore. There's so many different factors to think about. Honestly, I feel like a whole video could be made on this topic specifically, because there's so much that goes into it. The way reviews were done, the way that all of a sudden you had 30 seconds to say, this is my favorite product and I'm going to tell you why I'm so obsessed with this, and you have 30 seconds to say that. And also, I feel like a big thing with short form content is, for me, I feel like I don't really know people who make short form videos. I don't really know anything about them. They don't invite me into their home like this and tell me about their day as they're doing their makeup, because when TikTok came out, they had 30 seconds or 60 seconds or whatever it was to tell you why they loved this product. When Instagram videos first came out, I think they were like 15 seconds long. We only had that amount of time to tell you why we liked this product. And then guess what? Not a lot of people were doing follow-up videos. You weren't doing year-end wrap-up videos of this. These are all your favorite makeup products, and people could look back to say, well, you've never mentioned that product before. You know, it changed that as well in the way that people are getting their makeup reviews. And you can say what you want about short form, but those products sell. The people who are making reels and shorts and TikToks, they are selling the crap out of these products. And it changed the way for influencers, it changed the way for brands, it changed the way for marketing. You know, I just had a group chat get started today with some of my friends in Vegas, and they said, let's start a group chat for all of us to talk about the offers that we're getting, because essentially nowadays it seems like what companies are trying to do is use content creators as their marketers without having to pay us. And I know sometimes people can still get mad when they think about influencers being paid to do their job, but at the end of the day, like I have, for example, I have a hotel that reached out to me one time, and they wanted me to come spend 2 nights in the hotel. They wanted me to feature their hotel rooms. They wanted me to show off the lobby, the pool area, the spa, all of the restaurants. They wanted 4 Instagram videos on it. They wanted 30 stories every single day that I was there, 30 stories. They wanted 55 static images that they could use for whatever it is that they wanted. And they wanted all of this cross promoted on Shorts and TikTok. And I had to give them all of my raw content that they could use for whatever usage they wanted in perpetuity. If they wanted to put that image that I shot on a billboard, they would be able to do it. They didn't want to pay me for it at all. $0 for that. They didn't want to pay for my transportation to get to the hotel because it wasn't in Las Vegas. Didn't want to pay for that. And they wanted to give me a $100 credit to their restaurants. One time. Content creators are now marketers. We are photographers and we are videographers for brands and companies. And a lot of times the brands are saying, but we want you to do that for free. So what that's doing is that's putting people like photographers and videographers out of business, because content creators, especially ones who are up and coming and don't have as many opportunities yet, are taking those for free. So these brands and these companies are being able to take our images, our videos, our work, our expertise in social media and how to make a catchy video or a catchy ad and that sort of thing, and do it for free. To me, these brands, especially with short form being so popular, it changed the game for them. That's personally how I feel. Again, I think I talked about this for way too long, but it's something that truly fires me up when I see things that get put through to our inboxes, because I think how much, especially when it comes to social media and marketing, that it's changed. Because where do you go to see like what restaurant you should go to, what fashion is in style, how to, you know, style a certain outfit? You know, I just went to LA recently and I went on TikTok, best restaurants in LA. I went on Instagram, best places to shop in LA. When I go on trips, that's the media that I'm looking for, is what content creators are showing me. And then those brands are requesting our work in exchange for $100 at a restaurant, where my bill will probably be way more than $100. So I don't know, it's made a huge change. It's changed a lot of people's lives for the better. It's changed brands, it's changed marketing, it has changed so much. So again, this is a whole other topic. I'm sorry I spoke so long on that, but it's something that's absolutely fascinating to me, and I would love to get your feedback. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, this video is so crazy. What if the lipsticks were never hairy with Jaclyn? That's from Megan. Woo! You know, that's a good one. That's a good one to bring it up. When Jaclyn Hill launched her Jaclyn Cosmetics, what if those lipsticks weren't hairy? I think the brand would have been, again, this is just my opinion, I think the brand would have been very successful. I think they would have come on and done a lot more releases, but it just kind of instantly put a little bit of a dark cloud over the brand and made people a little bit hesitant to buy and support the products. Honestly, sometimes when I think about Jaclyn Hill, I think about a few people in the beauty industry that just seem untouchable, no matter what they do, no matter what mistakes are made. Like they are someone who like is never going to be canceled and that sort of thing. Jaclyn Hill is one of those to me, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whatever, that's your own opinion. But I have seen other people and brands make mistakes or bad judgments or whatever it may be and just get annihilated online, and to the point where like they cannot recover from it. And then you see other people who can do some really crazy things online and yet somehow it's okay. And not even speaking about Jaclyn Hill, but I think we know some people who have done some things. But to me, Jaclyn is kind of one of those people that is just untouchable. And I've said this in past videos before too. I do think if her lipsticks had been totally fine when they first came out, I think the brand would have continued to release products and have done well. But I think just kind of having that initial, such a backlash to that initial product launch put a dark cloud over the brand for sure. And it was kind of hard to bounce back from that. So that's just kind of my opinion, but I don't know, because again, on the flip side, I can kind of see, just being honest, like I can kind of see Jaclyn Cosmetics still ceasing to exist after a while, because she does seem to kind of like bounce around, which is not a bad thing. Like it's okay. Like to launch a business that's not going to be in business forever and ever and ever, like that's not always the plan. Sometimes people do just want to launch a business at this time in their life and release a few products and like that's it, right? So maybe it would have still continued to go that route even if the hairy lipsticks hadn't happened, but that's where your opinions get to come in as well. This I thought was a fun one. I'm gonna try to start like wrapping this up, but what if e.l.f. didn't start duping everyone and everything? Great question. Who is that? Janet. I love you, Janet. Great question. And this is where I want to get a lot of your feedback as well, because e.l.f. I don't think was the first brand. To me, it was really, in my opinion, it was Makeup Revolution that really started the duping with to me, it was the KVD Shade and Light palette. When Makeup Revolution came out with the Light and Shade or something, wasn't it like the Light and Shade palette? And people were like, you just, you know, you're stealing from that brand. To me, that was kind of the first time that we were starting to be really introduced to this duping makeup. And that, to me, to this day, has still continued to be a pretty hot topic in the industry of, is it right? Is it wrong? Should brands be doing this? But e.l.f. has definitely seemed to jump on the train, and they seem to have a lot of success at it. I think I just mentioned this the other day when I was talking about Holy Grail videos, or Holy Grail products, and I mentioned e.l.f. Cosmetics, and I said that they really have taken a turn from when I first started buying e.l.f. to where they are now, because now I get comments like Charlotte Tilbury will come out with something and people will say, I'll just wait for e.l.f. to dupe it. So I don't know, again, kind of what is kind of your first memory of those dupe makeup products coming out? To me, again, it was Makeup Revolution, but e.l.f. has definitely ran away, in my opinion, with that category these days. Of course, we had a lot of questions on, Janet said, what if Dramageddon 2 never happened? What if Tati Beauty didn't close? Janelle said, how controversial are we getting? Because I'm thinking, what if Dramageddon didn't happen? Jeffree Star, James Charles, Tati, where would the makeup community be now? She said, but I also don't want a million hateful comments on your videos. So, which is very, very kind of you to be thinking about that, Janelle. But again, to me, this video, I'm just kind of giving some of my thoughts and some of my perspectives, and, you know, agree or disagree. But I think it's really, to me, I think it's just going to be really interesting to hear so much of your feedback as well, from creators, from viewers, maybe brand owners, if anyone wants to pitch it. Like, I'm super curious to get your thoughts and feedback. But to me, Dramageddon kind of put the beauty community into mainstream media. I remember People magazine running a feature on it. I mean, we've had like Netflix documentaries about the time and everything like that. I'm just going to speak for me, obviously, as I keep saying in this video, but to me, it was a time that, I want to say this in the nicest way possible, but I remember for me at the time, I felt a little bit embarrassed to be a part of this community that had so much of this drama going on, that we were now being featured in People magazine about it. And I say we, like, I wasn't included in it, but like the beauty community as a whole. And we just had all of a sudden had all these eyes on us and our videos and what we were doing and what we were talking about, friendships. To me, it was really disheartening to see so many friendships being like publicly blown up online, and these people who were best friends with each other just going at each other. And, you know, for me, some of my best friends are people in this community and people that I've met online. And I truly cannot imagine ever doing some of the things or saying some of the things to people who I've considered friends. And, you know, and I can't imagine being on the receiving end of that either, and how that would make me feel. And it was just, to me, it was just so sad to see all of it go down. It was so sad to see so many people hurting. It was so sad to just being a part on the outskirts of the whole thing. As a content creator, it just made me sad, and it made me for a while be like, do I even want to keep doing this? Like, is this what we need for views and to sell things and to be popular? Is like, we also need to be a part of this like crazy like drama that's happening. And I don't know, it's so interesting to me, because sometimes when I talk to people who are haven't been watching beauty YouTube since 2016, 2018, whatever it may be, and I ask like, oh, like, how did you get into watching beauty videos now? And they're like, oh, that like Dramageddon, or that like Jeffree Star, James Charles, Tati situation. And I'm like, okay, like that's how you found our people. Like, it's just sad. But I think it brought a lot of attention and awareness to some things. I mean, again, it goes back to some people that just seem untouchable online. And did that time really hurt them, or did it help them? You go back to what is it? Any publicity is, or whatever it is. So I'm super curious. Those are just kind of like my 2 cents on the topic there, but I'm very curious to get the comments on that. What I said is, I'm okay talking about controversial things because I'm genuinely curious to get others' feedbacks. Maybe our thoughts won't line up, but it will still be interesting to get the other point of views. So that's what I said. Janelle said, also, what if indie makeup wasn't a thing? We'd still be married to Too Faced. I saw this and was like, again, I'm so glad that I decided to not just like think of the questions myself and ask you, because I was like, what if indie makeup wasn't a thing? Like my brain, I'm like, okay, but also when I saw that come through, I was like, what do you guys think is the first indie brand that really kind of popped off in the beauty space? And I honestly was kind of having a little bit of a hard time thinking of one. So this is, I really want to get your feedback as well. But you know, I think indie brands have had a lot of success also because of utilizing content creators. And again, I'm not saying that's like all where indie brands' success comes in, but I think that they did a good job of finding influencers that really aligned with their branding and with their products, and offering affiliate programs. I am not someone who uses indie makeup a whole ton. I know a lot of people who, you know, have tried so many indie brands and, you know, love them and have so many dedicated videos to their products, to their palettes, to their tutorials, to their swatches, and all of those things. And I also know that, to me, it seems like people who got in with the indie makeup early also did really well. So, you know, I've kind of talked about some of the influencers that got in on the affiliate programs for Morphe and these other brands really early and how well they did. I think of Sigma and Carly Bible. A reason I found Sigma Beauty was because Carly Bible did have her affiliate codes with them, and she did like a meet and greet at the Minnesota Mall, all of these things. But I feel like there was another wave of that when it came to indie makeup, and for the influencers that got invested in the indie makeup early, they have done really well with collaborations, with discount codes. Again, the money that is being made from these is nothing to scoff at. And truly, there's been times for me that I've been like, man, Samantha, if you had only loved colorful makeup and multi-chromes earlier, like that could have maybe been a life-changing thing for you. But it just wasn't my particular journey. But so I think of brands. I also, of course, think about the content creators and how some of them have been able to have really cool opportunities. I've had so many friends that have done amazing collaborations with indie brands that have really been life-changing to them, which is so amazing and so exciting. I think as a whole too, with indie makeup, that's when we really started to see, again, not that colorful makeup wasn't a thing, but that's when we started to see more colorful makeup looks. We started to get introduced to other types of finishes with the multi-chromes and the duochromes and different things like that. And I think it really kind of flipped the makeup industry again when indie brands started to become so popular and some of these different style of makeup looks. And I think it really ushered in a new wave of not necessarily content creators, but the way that people were able to showcase their makeup and their creativity. And it made the space, in my opinion, it made the space feel not, I'm trying to use the word like wider. Like it made it seem like more people were welcome here. You didn't just have to do neutral makeup, or clean girl is a more recent aesthetic trend, but no makeup looks or things like that. The Urban Decay Naked palettes, like, and I think that's really cool. And I think indie makeup really had a lot to do with that. But I don't know, what do you think about that? And what do you think was one of the first, you know, one or handful of indie makeup brands that really made a splash in the community? I'm super curious to get your feedback on that. I've been very obsessed with the Freck lip liner in 03, so I'm going to be using that. And then also one of the new Merit lipsticks. I purchased the Trio. This one is in Du Jour. It's the Signature Lip Blush, so I haven't used it yet, so we're going to see what this lip combo is. But this next one I thought was really sweet, and my mental health is not great this week, I will say that, which is probably a really bad time to make a video like this, but it's really touched me and I started crying. But Megan said, what if you never started the Will I Buy It series? You've met so many people and we've been led to so many other creators. That meant a lot to me. I think one thing as a creative person and as a creator, it's been really exciting over the years to see people do video ideas that I thought of and that I've, you know, I had so much hesitancy around starting a Will I Buy It series because I thought people are going to think this is so weird and dumb and boring, and like I'm not actually talking about the product, so why am I even making this video? But in the time in 2016 and 2017, I wasn't getting PR packages and I wasn't able to go out and buy all of these big collections. So when I started the Will I Buy It series, it was my way of seeing what gets views on YouTube is people talking about new makeup. Well, I can't show it, but I can give my opinion about it, and maybe some people will like it. I started that Will I Buy It series, and I would talk about 4 products. Every single week on a Wednesday, I would talk to you about 4 new makeup products, and that was it. And then I started talking about more because it seemed to be doing well. And honestly, it's how I was led to one of my best friends in this space is Angelica Nyquist. And you know, she started doing the Will I Buy It series as well, and people started commenting to say like, this Swedish creator is doing your video, and you know, she would mention me in her videos like, oh, you know, this girl Samantha started making these videos and I thought that they were fun, so I want to do them. And I was like, how cool. And we started talking in the comment section, and now she's one of my closest friends and someone who I've literally traveled the world with this past year. And so I just think about that and like, would I've ever found her friendship if I hadn't done these videos? And I think about that with so many other creators who started, and I started watching other people making these videos, and I created the community Will I Buy It list because I was like, I want to show everybody, like, look at all of these creators, look at everybody that you can be watching, look at all of the different opinions that you can get on makeup. Like for me, I think it's so interesting to have the thought of like everyone should like the same products or like the same makeup look. And to me, the Will I Buy It series really showed how different it can be and how people look at makeup differently and want to wear makeup differently and the different brands they're interested in. And, you know, Angie started to focus a lot on indie makeup. She would talk about the indie makeup releases, and then that spawned indie makeup. Like I guess seeing that question come through made me feel like maybe in a small way, sorry, I've mentioned my mental health not being great this week, but it made me maybe feel like in my little small way I left some sort of mark on the beauty community. And you know, this is a very fluid career. This is a very unstable career. I don't know how much longer I'll be doing it. I hear from other people they're not sure how much longer they'll be doing it. You just don't really know what the way social media changes, trends changes, all of the things, we just don't know. But I think like, oh, maybe I made some sort of impact, and that's a cool feeling, I guess. Janelle says, oh, chocolate bar, what if that wasn't a thing? Or the sweet peach palette. Oh my gosh, so Too Faced like staples, the chocolate bar. For me, the sweet peach is what made me initially fall in love with Too Faced. Like I have a video on, I think I have several videos on the sweet peach palette, and I loved it. So it's so funny to look at some of those like staple palettes that the brands released and kind of how it, you know, kind of catapulted their successes. But what are some other palettes? I mean, we talked about Modern Renaissance, we talked about the Naked palette, but definitely like for Too Faced, I know we had some talks in here about KVD. Oh, we talked about like if KVD Beauty, like, you know, if that had happened with Kat Von D, would KVD Beauty still be a thing, and that sort of thing. But what are some other palettes that really kind of, I don't know if I want to say signified the brand, but kind of like made you think about the brand in those days, or like were super talked about in those days? I'm curious about that. You know, Janet said, what if COVID hadn't happened? How would the beauty community and makeup look right now? I think it would be so different. I don't know if it would be so different. I don't know if we would have some of the brands closing like they did. I don't know if something like TikTok would have been as popular of a platform. Not to say it wouldn't have happened or it wouldn't have been popular, but would it have been as popular if people didn't have jobs and were sitting at home and were looking for ways to almost maybe feel like not alone, or we're looking for other streams of income? I don't know. You know, I know for me, I look back at that time and I feel a lot of personal changes stemmed from that, because what a scary time, right? You didn't know what was happening. One of my uncles was one of the first people in Iowa to pass away from COVID, and that hit me so hard. And it was like, you didn't know if you were going to lose a family member from one day to the next. You were scared to hug your loved ones. You were scared to go outside. You were scared to get the mail. It was such a scary time for everybody, right? And, you know, for me, it really made me think like, if this is it, like, this is what I'm happy with in my life? And I made a lot of changes after that time. If you're not familiar with me, I got divorced. I moved from Iowa to Las Vegas. I started a business, and I really started to try to take steps to focus on my happiness and doing things that made me happy. I don't know if COVID hadn't happened, if it would have ever pushed me to do that, or if I would have just kept on keeping on because that's what was expected of me. And I'll say for me, when it comes to beauty, I think it really kind of shifted my thoughts on what it meant to be putting out beauty content. Because during that time, I think that's when I really started to rely on almost being an entertainer more than anything. And it's when I started to kind of shift some of my content into being a content creator, to show you swatches, to show you tutorials and that sort of thing. And then I kind of moved it to entertainment and just trying to make you laugh or trying to make you smile. And I think you've been able to maybe see that through my Instagram page, March Beauty Word. I don't do a ton of beauty over there. I do a lot of just like some like skits, and I like to bring my friends with it. And I like to make people laugh, and I like to make people feel a little bit lighthearted throughout their day. I of course try to you know, just the other day I talked about having a very severe panic attack at an airport when I had a situation happen, and I always try to talk about the good and the bad as well. But at the end of the day, I think it really started to shift my content and what I was doing. And I thought, life is hard, man. life is hard and people are always going through something, and there's always going to be something that's, you know, pushing you or making you down. Like, how can I make someone smile today? How can I make someone happy today? How can I make someone laugh today? And it's when I feel as I really started to change some of my content, and not everybody likes it, and that's fine. But I don't know if I would have changed or if I would have just kept doing the same thing if COVID hadn't happened. I don't know. It's a great question. Janelle said, okay, well, this is already a series. You're welcome. March Beauty Word, that's funny. Janet said, what if Fenty Beauty hadn't been created because it changed the foundation shade range? And, you know, yeah, I think Fenty made a huge splash. And I think Fenty also was one of the brands that was, you know, kind of celebrity led with Rihanna. And it showed that it wasn't just, to me, Fenty wasn't a brand that just relied on the face of a celebrity. It really went more, and I think the shade range coming out really showed that this was a brand that was here to stay. This was a brand that wasn't just like, oh, but look at this picture of Rihanna wearing our lipstick. It was, this is a for real brand. And not that celebrity brands hadn't already been a thing, because they definitely were, but I think it also kind of opened the doors for more celebrity brands in a way, and for more celebrities to jump on the beauty train in a good or a bad way. But also by seeing the successes of Fenty and seeing brands kind of try to emulate that success, and some have and some haven't. So what are some other like celebrity brands that you feel are kind of like legit in that way? Because to me, I do, and I've always felt that way about Fenty. I love some of their products. I don't like some of their products. I love I was almost going to use the Fenty lip liner in this video because I like it so much. But to me, they are a very staple brand and a very popular brand. And I think it really changed the way people looked at celebrity owned or celebrity led brands as well. So I don't know. That's such a good question. We have wondering what a Kat Von D beauty would be if she didn't say the controversial things and didn't step down. Would KVD beauty still be as popular? You know, those liquid lipsticks had such a time. The Shade and Light palette, one of my favorite. Janelle said it hasn't been the same since. The Shade and Light palette still haunts me. What if clean beauty didn't enter the beauty space? I don't mean as far as ingredients and such, but the change that brought with them. Minimal makeup, more subtle, almost like streamlined makeup. What a good question. Like, my brain saw this and like exploded. I was like, what if? Because, and there's also like such controversy about clean beauty and the clean girl makeup look and just like the clean at Sephora. Like, and this question, so many good ones. What if Natasha Denona didn't come out with the first midi palette and she only continued the larger palettes, which seemed to only cater to makeup artists? I think in creating the midi palette, she commercialized her brand, not in a negative way, just by being more accessible and desirable. Oh my gosh, I agree. Because to me, when I first started seeing people talk about Natasha Denona, I was seeing people like Sam Ravindal talk about her palettes. I was seeing people like Mel Thompson talk about her palettes, people who were makeup artists and were very gifted with makeup. And I was like, I can't use these palettes. Also, they were so expensive. They were way out of my price point. There was so many different shades in them. And so when Natasha changed and started to make the mini palettes and the midi palettes more affordable price points, to me, that changed the brand. And now Natasha is my favorite brand for eyeshadow palettes. I'm always talking about her palettes. To me, that definitely changed the Natasha Denona brand. What do you think though? That was such a good one. That was something I never really even thought of until I saw that question. I was like, you are so right. It made it more accessible and more desirable. So true. I think that's where I'm going to end it though. Again, I could do a part 2. If you have more what ifs that you want to put in the comments, please do leave them because I'm so curious. Thank you to all of my members who submitted these fantastic what ifs because this was such a fun video to do. I really hope the outside noise wasn't too loud during this video. And again, I will link all of the products below. I'm just filming in a closet, so hopefully the lighting isn't like too crazy as well. But I saw this and I wasn't planning to film today, but I saw the questions coming through and I thought this is just too good. I want to film right now. I want to get this out there and I want to hear some of your feedback. So please leave it in the comments. Thank you so much to everyone who watched this, and I'll see you in the next one.